think it's accepted that you can eat very well in Quebec.
It's one of our strongest traditions. Well, we're French, after all.
Gastronomy, by its simple definition, is the art of practicing good eating.
The most important rule you have to respect is the things you eat or you drink, they have to be, how could I say, maybe pure.
And instead of going to a table just to feed yourself, you're making a poem out of it.
They are members of Quebec's oldest gastronomic society, le Club Prosper-Montagné. Twice a year, they select a restaurant to practice what they hope will be the highest form of their art. Tonight, it is the Hôtel La Sapinière, north of Montreal, whose owner, Jean-Louis Dufresne, is a founding member of the club.
For me, it's a very good challenge for a hotel, for a chef, to accept a dinner like that.
A gastronomical dinner takes weeks of planning and preparation. It's not like a banquet or any other dinner. And tonight it's a special challenge because these members of Prosper-Montagné are so experienced in gastronomy. They have been in the best restaurants in the world. They know what they're eating and how it's cooked. Gérard Delage, who started this club, is probably the most respected gastronome we have in Canada.
Gastronomy has many forms. It can be very simple, like a well-seasoned salad, or it can be what we have tonight.
Celui qui fume en mangeant ne mérite pas le titre de gourmet.
Roger Champoux, club secretary, and Quebec's leading writer on gastronomy, restates the rules. No smoking until coffee, and no discussion of religion, politics, or business.
This is a very severe condition because we want people to enjoy themselves, appreciate the work of the chef, but not doing business for themselves.
As is customary, the evening had begun with wine tasting. The idea is not necessarily to choose the best wine, but to compare their characteristics and their subtleties.
The hors d'oeuvres, which start always a menu like this, it looks funny. They are so small and so tiny, and they look like if there wasn't much work to it. But they are probably the most important part of the dinner, because it's the first contact of the diners with the actual menu. Smoked sturgeon goes very well with champagne. So I had some caught by some fishermen friends. After filleting, it's soaked in a special brine for a few days. Then it's smoked, I mean hot smoked, which means it's cooked at the same time. For the lobster médaillons, we use 3-pound live lobsters. And for the canapés, we use only the tail part, which is afterwards glazed with aspic, made from fine fish stock. Caroline de foie gras are tiny eclairs stuffed with goose liver, which has been whipped with cognac and Madeira. It is decorated with truffles, and there is some truffles inside. Caviar is an additional companion for champagne, but with pollution spreading in Russian rivers, it has been getting rarer and rarer all the time.
It was really something special tonight to be able to compare 5 different champagnes, and the climax was the Dom Pérignon 64.
And as a highlight of this degustation, I was pleased to serve truffles cooked in champagne and baked in a fluffy pastry of feuilletage.
Usually, whenever you see truffles on a menu, in a pâté or in a sauce, it's only as garnishing. So to be served a whole truffle, like tonight, was quite a unique experience.
Very often it is understood that gastronomy is just for the rich, or has to include lots of truffles and cognac and champagne and all these expensive things, but I do not believe so.
You can eat 2 eggs in the morning, but if you do it properly, you're doing a little part of gastronomy.
For the soup, I wanted something quite different. So I had grown in my own garden one of the least known herbs, chervil. The base of the soup is veal and chicken stock, and the main seasoning, of course, is chervil, cerfeuil in French. To lock in the subtle flavor of the chervil, we put on a pastry cover, which completely seals the soup. A menu like this is always a good occasion to get out of the ordinary, out of the everyday work and routine. It has to be a challenge for myself and for my crew, and it has to be something new too for the diners.
For a gastronome, the rules are not so complicated. First of all, you have to educate your palate so that you can detect the characteristics and the finesse of every flavor. Secondly, you have to discipline your appetite. Then you have to learn how to harmonize the flavors of the foods. Always, we start with the lighter flavors and graduate to the heavier in both the foods and the wines.
So that's why you have to orchestrate your meal, because definitely a meal is a symphony. And it's the French actress Brigitte Bardot who said, a symphony is like sex. When it is good, it is wonderful, and when it is bad, it is still pretty good.
Earlier with the soup, a light, dry sherry was served. And now for the fish course, we selected a very delicate Burgundy, Puligny-Montrachet Pucelle 66. The tasting ceremony began during the age when poisons were in vogue and guests required certain assurances from their host. We still take it seriously because wine is a living organism, constantly changing for better or for worse.
Ice carvings are one of the outside decorations which can be allowed on a display table. A fine dinner is for the palate and for the eye at the same time. So decoration is part of the art of cuisine. For each course, it's necessary to come up with an original idea to present a decoration platter which is intended to stimulate the diners. Atlantic striped bass is a sports fish and one of the finest tasting fishes I know. After filleting, it will be poached in white wine, and the stock produced is added to a basic roux blanc to make the sauce Bercy. The worry actually never ends. Once you have started on a preparation, there can't be anything going wrong. Timing is very important. Each dish has to be cooked right at the precise moment. It has to be served right, and it has to be served hot. And because of the many courses, we must be careful not to make the portions too large.
In a gastronomical dinner, there are many principles we observe. Nothing must detract from the aromas of the food and the wines. We allow no flowers or scented candles. No water is served except with the salad, no bread except with the cheese course, and there is never salt and pepper on the table. We want to taste exactly what the chef has prepared.
To me, a gastronome is a man of good taste who wants to improve his connaissance of eating simply to become a more civilized person.
Ah, le Château Talbot. Le 64, c'est bien lui, hein? Attention.
The older the wine, the more important the role of the taster. The first inspection is with the eye. Then the wine is activated for the test of the nose. The bouquet will tell you if the wine is good. The tasting confirms the verdict.
22 caisses.
Many of these wines our members were tasting for the first time because they are specially imported by La Sapinière.
A mallard is usually a wild duck, but I knew of a small farm where they are raised domestically on whole grain only. It's a very delicate tasting duck, much more so than the usual commercial variety. To prepare this dish, we used only the breast, which is called suprême, once it's cleaned of all bones and skin. On any gastronomical dinner, I'm always anxious not to be perfect, but to be right. I'm not alone, of course. I have my brigade with me, and they have a very important role to play. And I think some of the tension I'm under goes over to them. We had to be careful with the sauce for this dish. Usually it's served à l'orange, but that wouldn't go too well with the fine Bordeaux wine. So I decided to use seedless green grapes, but I wanted to be subtle enough so they might not even recognize the taste. The stock for the sauce was made out of the bones and by the addition of vegetables, what we call mirepoix. It's a slightly sweet sauce, so we add the peeled grapes, which give it a very fine and slightly acid taste. Mettre un peu de cherry dedans. Picking wild mushrooms is a hobby of mine. I like to study them, and I have books on the many Canadian species. Some are poisonous, of course, but others are really delicate and fine to eat. Each species has its own special flavor. I thought wild mushrooms would go well with the main course. The other vegetables I selected were pomme de terre bernie, potato croquettes, coated with crushed almonds, and salsify, known as oyster plant in English, because of its fine oyster-like taste.
For the meat course, Mr. Dufresne offered another of his exclusives, a Burgundy called Le Beaune Grève Tasse de Vinage 61.
We decided on something quite unusual for the main dish, a stuffed rack of kid, young goat. Usually this meat is tough, but in this case the animals had been milk-fed only. On this dish, we used only the rack, which was boned, seasoned with fine herbs, and stuffed with the liver and kidney, a little bread, white wine, and at the same time, we make the sauce of the bones with a mirepoix consisting of vegetables like carrots, celery, onions. Before roasting, the meat is wrapped in a skin-like covering, which is called crépine.
C'est bon, hein, c'est parfait. Some people might believe that what we're doing tonight is elitist or decadent. If it was our daily routine, they would be right. But as you know, we meet only twice a year. Should we stop? Is that what people who support the other arts should do? Stop buying paintings? Stop going to the ballet and to concerts? Because eating is something you have to do every day, some people have difficulty believing it can be an art. We definitely don't.
The Club Prosper-Montagné was created 18 years ago as an experiment. And it was so successful that now in Quebec, we have 15 professional societies and at least 100 informal ones. Some are men's club, some are ladies' club, and some are mixed. And what has been the result of these clubs, which I believe are unique to Quebec? Well, good eating has been promoted, standards of excellence raised, restaurants improved, tourists attracted, and jobs created. As you know, tourism is one of the most important industries in Quebec, and our cuisine is one of the chief attractions.
Alors, bien recouvrir le roast beef de Sapinière pour éviter qu'il soit trop sec.
A hotel school, to me, is a must. Definitely a must, because staff is one of our biggest problems. In Europe, there are many fine hotel schools. I went to one of them in my hometown of Strasbourg. It's 20 years now that I am in Canada, and I don't understand why we can't have more hotel schools here.
At the moment, Quebec has the only government-operated hotel school in Canada. In the past, the province has depended largely on importing European trained personnel, but now many are being lost to other North American centers. They will have to be replaced, and more, it will have to come from within. The Quebec Hotel School is headquartered in Montreal, but has regional operations throughout the province. Its 4,500 students take courses in all disciplines, from cooking to bartending, to waiting on tables, to hotel and restaurant administration. The courses are conducted in French, but all graduates must be bilingual.
May I take your order, sir?
May I take your order, sir? May I take your order, sir? May I take your order, sir?
Find the second phrase, the customer is always right.
The customer
Is always right. The customer is always right.
Le deuxième, un Chambertin, un Bourgogne.
On the school staff is an oenologist, a professor of wines from France.
première opération, évidemment, c'est de le regarder, le mirer.
Quebec's consumption of wine is by far the highest in Canada, so the course is taken very seriously.
For the salad course, I wanted something quite different. So I had some marsh grown in my garden.
Salad, like all green vegetables, does not go well with wine. The vinegar in the dressing will spoil any wine that exists. So you should cleanse the palate with water, in this case, local mineral water from Oka. For the cheeses, you save your most formidable wine of the evening. Tonight, it was Chambertin 64, a robust, full-bodied Burgundy.
Oh, yeah, bon, hein?
Cheese is an excellent vehicle to appreciate your wine, and Quebec can be justly proud of these cheeses. A Camembert, an old cheddar, a blue cheese, and the internationally known Oka, made by the famous order of monks near Montreal.
Because of the many courses, the dessert had to be very light and refreshing. I chose blueberries marinated in a sweet and served in a cantaloupe melon, also from Quebec.
18 years ago, when Mr. Delage formed this club, how many quality restaurants did this province have? 2, maybe 3. But now there are many places in Quebec where we could be having this dinner tonight. And not only in the larger cities. Of course, haute cuisine is not the only thing we have in Quebec. But here tonight, we have the result of many things. The influence of these gastronomic society, the cultural evolution of the province of Quebec, and the result of a long tradition of good eating in the French-Canadian family. This is where the appreciation starts, in the home. I still remember, as a child, going to the market with my father and learning about the foods.
With dessert tonight, we're serving La Folie Péraguet, which is a first-class sauterne.
It's 1957, which is a very good year. And the taste, it's out of this world.
Oh, sensuel, c'est sensuel.
A little sweet, of course, like you would expect in a desert wine, but very refreshing.
After a dinner like this, just any coffee wouldn't do. So we selected a special blend of Colombian and Arabian. And for the digestif, we chose Mirabelle.
Alors, je demanderai maintenant au chef, Marcel Kretz, de venir nous rendre visite.
It is always a great moment for any chef when he walks into the dining room to meet after all these long hours with the diners and gets honest applause and an honest critic, which I hope I did get at this Prosper-Montagné dinner.
Monsieur Dufresne, qui est propriétaire de cette maison, a à peine 36 ans de métier, bien sûr, son père avant, d'accord, mais à peine 36 ans d'opération, et c'est un triomphe, et c'est une maison modèle. L'autre jeune homme qui est à ses côtés, je ne sais pas son âge. Mais Dieu que je l'envie, parce que quand on peut faire un pareil succès à cet âge-là, on est promis à tous les triomphes. Commencez à être grand pour toujours être grand. Voilà ce que vous êtes, monsieur.